My name is Daniel Hayes, and I used to believe family dinners were supposed to be simple, awkward at worst, peaceful at best. But the night I discovered what my mother-in-law had been planning for weeks, the night everything began with a forced smile and ended with flashing ambulance lights, changed every belief I ever held about trust, family, loyalty, and the darkness some people hide behind polite conversation and Sunday casseroles. I had no idea the woman who claimed to care for me like a son had something much more sinister prepared. And I never expected that a single moment of instinct, one quiet decision, would reveal every truth she'd tried to bury. It started on a cold Friday evening, one of those nights where the wind brushed against your skin with the kind of bite that made you rethink leaving home in the first place. But my wife insisted we attend the dinner. "Mom really wants us there," she said, adjusting her earrings while I buttoned my shirt slowly, reluctantly. I always felt uncomfortable around her family, not because they were bad people, just unpredictable. Her father, Richard, was firm and outspoken, the type who always criticized someone's job, clothes, or life choices, including mine. And her mother, Elaine, well, she was different. She pretended warmth with every word, but her eyes never matched her smile. And when someone's eyes don't smile, you pay attention. As soon as we arrived, Elaine opened the door with her polished grin. "Daniel, welcome, sweetheart," she said, squeezing my shoulder a bit too tight. Behind her, the dining table was already set, wine glasses polished, plates neatly arranged, candles flickering as if they too felt uneasy. I tried to shake off the tension creeping through me and followed everyone inside. Throughout dinner, I noticed her glancing at my glass more than she looked at me. Every time she reached across the table, every time she adjusted her napkin or moved a dish, her eyes flicked toward my drink. At first, I assumed I was imagining it. But when she stood up to grab the special bottle, that's when everything changed. She returned with a small flask disguised as a decorative container, golden with floral engravings, and as she walked behind me, I heard the faintest clink of liquid. I turned my head slightly and caught it, her hand tilted over my glass. She froze for half a second when our eyes met, then she smiled. "Just adding a little something special for my favorite son-in-law," she said, the exact same sentence printed on the thumbnail inspiration you sent, except when she said it, her voice wasn't sweet, it was sharp, rehearsed, almost excited. My wife didn't notice, but her father, Richard, did. His eyebrows twitched like he knew something was wrong but didn't dare speak. I thanked Elaine politely, because confrontation would only make her defensive, but inside alarms went off like sirens. My instincts told me to stay calm, observe, and not take a single sip from that glass. I looked at Richard, who was too busy complaining about the economy to pay attention. His glass sat right beside mine, identical in shape and size. And then in one quiet move, while everyone laughed at one of my wife's stories, I slid my glass forward and switched it with Richard. Elaine didn't notice. But when she sat down and her eyes darted back to my glass, now his, I knew there was something she desperately wanted me and only me to drink. 45 minutes passed. At first, nothing happened. Maybe I was paranoid, maybe she'd only added alcohol, maybe I had misjudged everything until Richard suddenly stopped mid-sentence. His words slurred, his eyes blinked slowly, heavily like curtains falling over windows. His hand gripped the table edge, knuckles whitening, then he collapsed. Chaos erupted instantly. My wife screamed. Elaine dropped her fork and lunged toward her husband, shrieking his name. The entire scene felt like a movie in slow motion, her shaking his shoulders, yelling for him to wake up, begging him to speak. But I watched her face closely, and that's where I saw it. Panic, yes. Fear, yes. But guilt, that was the strongest expression of all. The paramedics arrived within minutes. They loaded Richard onto a stretcher, and as they carried him out, my wife cried into my chest, confused, terrified. But Elaine wasn't looking at her husband being rushed away. She was staring at the empty glass, my glass, her expression twisted with horror, not because he was hurt, but because she knew what had been in it. At the hospital, the waiting room felt colder than the winter night outside. My wife went to fill out paperwork, leaving Elaine and me alone. She sat trembling, hands tight enough to leave marks on her palms. She didn't speak for several minutes, until finally she whispered without looking at me, "You didn't drink it, did you?" Her voice cracked. That was it, confirmation, truth laid bare without any pressure. "What was in it, Elaine?" I asked quietly, leaning forward. "What were you trying to give me?" She swallowed hard and her eyes glossed. "It was supposed to calm you down, nothing dangerous." "Then why are you afraid?" I asked. Her breath shook, she looked away. "I only wanted to help my daughter. You're holding her back. She deserves someone successful, someone who can provide more than you can." Every word stabbed deeper than the last. She admitted that she'd been adding things to my drinks before, mild tranquilizers, she claimed, but it never had an effect she wanted. This time, she said she got something stronger from someone she shouldn't have trusted. She tried to justify it, saying she didn't intend to hurt me, just slow me down, make me tired, make my wife realize I wasn't right for her. But intentions mean nothing when results nearly cost a man his life. Before I could respond, a doctor approached. "Are you Richard's family?" he asked. Elaine jumped up nervously. "Is he okay?" "He's stable," the doctor said, "but we found something unusual in his system. Something that shouldn't be there. We'll need to ask both of you a few questions." I didn't even need to speak. Elaine's entire body language betrayed her, and when the doctor asked, "Do either of you know how this substance might have gotten into his drink?" she collapsed into the chair, sobbing uncontrollably. She kept whispering, "It wasn't meant for him, it wasn't meant for him." My wife returned just in time to hear that sentence. The betrayal that hit her was immediate, violent, and heartbreaking. She confronted her mother with shaking hands, screaming, crying, demanding answers her mother couldn't give. Elaine kept begging forgiveness, but the damage was irreversible. Within hours, security escorted Elaine out of the hospital for investigation. Richard later confirmed he'd seen her mixing things into drinks before. He just assumed it was flavoring. The truth unraveled piece by piece. Elaine had been manipulating situations for months, even influencing arguments between my wife and me. She wanted me gone, removed, erased from her daughter's life. But she didn't expect her husband, a man she'd been married to for 30 years, to become the unintended victim of her obsession. When Richard finally woke up, the first thing he said was, "Why would she do this?" None of us had an answer. She was charged, my wife cut ties, and I learned a lesson I'll never forget. Sometimes the people who smile the brightest are hiding the darkest intentions. Elaine tried to poison me. I switched glasses. And in the end, the truth poisoned her entire world instead.